is Boadu TV. Truth and integrity.
Boadu TV, so I Yamamunyina Kaba. Na Boadu Adom Otchere akasa dia fa Sansa Daly. Me boy say wasoma yo kese no say na hwanie be oba na bema. Doctor na ye say o e fake no. The chi X no. Na all the sobobo Kevin Taylor new girlfriend no. Ono. E na Boadu Adom Otchere bisa say enti ni pe kuku damewo Council of State so omanhu say ababa one document e fake because say nya appointed the number board no so no yes board no so no on consultation with the Council of State. That means say omampanyene Council of State die ababa one no nkomo e no munyina agetum de ba ne sen ni nyina manhu badam toko nu de na muhu chema Wontumi de na muhu omude na muhuye wa wasan tisim e wo chema Wontumi case no so na lawyer ya okwesi na panemu this one so don so kasa o wonu titi gem keno Ofori Atta de da na de ba na oma Boadu Adom Otchere aboyerem na yente no.
I'd like to say about Dr Sansa Daly is that as we go on, there's a lot happening. There's a lot of documentation going to the American institution, the Homeland Security, the American Embassy, all sorts of things are happening, and then we can't say much about it. But I'm interested in the Council of States because I noticed that the Council of States, now this letter says that I write to inform you that the President of the Republic, following consultations with the Council of State, has appointed the following individual as members of Governing Board of the National Health Insurance Authority. Now, the Council of State looked at this CV, and that I told you how, when I was appointed on the board by Nana Akufo-Addo, how I got to know because a member of the Council of State, Togbe Afede, told me that they had been looking at my CV. How the Council of State looked at Sansa Daly's CV, they didn't find anything wrong with it and submitted it for an appointment. But the Council of State was able to sit down, take a petition to the President against the Chief Justice, take the Chief Justice's response, came to a conclusion that a prima facie case has been made. That is more difficult to do. The Council of State was able to do that. Kudos to them. They were doing their work. But the same Council of State was not able to detect that one of the CVs in this was fraudulent. I can't wrap my head around that. This is a Council of State of very distinguished members. The Honorable Doa Jaho, former Speaker of Parliament, Sophia Akufu, former Chief Justice, Sophia Adinyira, former Supreme Court Judge, the former Foreign Minister, and former running mate to Professor Mills. What's his name again? Mumuni. Mohammed Mumuni, the MP for Kumbungu. On the Council of State. All of them are on the Council of State. Now, this Council of State were able to determine that a prima facie case has been made for Chief Justice Tokonu to answer. The same Council of State were not able to look at the CV of Sansa Daly to determine that it's a charade, is terrible. It's a CV that is due for Iyoko. It's a CV that's due for Iyoko. It's due for the CID headquarters. They couldn't see, and they passed her. That if general public, according to the DW story, general public Ghanaians were concerned, or Katachi Afrifa was concerned, for the records were concerned. If that concern didn't come, Callistus Mahama would not have written the letter. The Council of State did not notice that Sansa Daly's CV was fraudulent. It was thievery. They didn't notice. But the same Council of State were able to do a more difficult job by finding out a prima facie case against Justice Tokonu. We live to talk about this another day, because another day will surely come. Hallelujah be to the resurrected Lord. Okay, now let's shift to Chairman Wontumi and the problems that he's had over the past few days. Chairman Nchubo is saying, oh, eventually he's out of vehicle. My concern when I was talking to his people and to himself was that, but Chairman, why do you take $45 million from Cocoa Board and you didn't do the road? What's the meaning of that? He said, me. Na Cocoa for no, we road no ya Oscar. Let's say Oscar Safako road. Ghana, how what be that? Yeah, Oscar Safako, we road no ya na abeju sika. Now when I'm discussing fine road. Well, when propaganda. I said, well, when I heard that, I was very worried. The Chairman Wontumi really take money from Cocoa Board and didn't do the road as significant as such money? Then I also asked him that, what about the cars? They say you stole. He said, The people I bought the cars from, I've told them I bought the cars from this person, and the Yoko has called. I said, "Oh, my friend, what down for no crack? I won't mention his name. What down for? Say me talk and be on the hold. No, once I'm down. I say, "Oh, I don't know. Me talk and my catch there, omo. Into my friend, I make me say me car man turn my bridge. They be talk Ghana. Obi turn car na me say for car man, me no the car man. I must stole car. Mo go bisane. I me dem my head. I don't know. It's all the time pattern is always important, but we are all happy that Chairman Wontumi is out, and we're going to talk about that in great significance today. I'm getting a lot of messages on the tax. I'll deal with the tax on Thursday in some significant way, okay? And I also reveal to you the steps that are happening with the Sansa Daly issue. Tomorrow there are a lot of meetings with lawyers happening. Documentation are going to be put together. They want me to say a little bit, but not to say all. So there are lawyers in America, there are lawyers in Ghana. I thought I was just texting one of the lawyers in America. I wanted some information. I've given it to him. So there's a lot happening. Okay. All right. So that's 9 minutes past the top of the hour at 10 o'clock. Now, the Supreme Court today overturns the High Court's ruling in Bisu OSP legal battle. We know that the OSP has been fighting Charles Bisu, I don't know what for, about some videotape that Anas did. Of course, you know that Kissi Agyabin used to be lawyer for Anas. They are bosom friends, they are partners, etc., etc. And this is what the story says. The Supreme Court, and incidentally, the lawyer who argued this case successfully, the same lawyer on my seat now, so don't worry, there's a lot that we're going to hear tonight. The Supreme Court has overturned a High Court's ruling that dismissed an application filed by the former secretary to the Interministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining, Charles Bisu, at the Human Rights Division of the High Court. Charles Bisu filed an application there that was dismissed. Let's see. The application was filed against the Office of the Special Prosecutor in relation to the handling of criminal complaints against him. The case stems from allegations of corruption and related offenses against Charles Bisu following the airing of an investigative documentary by journalist Nasarimiya Anas. Subsequent to the airing of the documentary, the OSP declared Bisu a wanted person. In response, Bisu secured an injunction from the courts to prevent the OSP from enforcing the arrest. In June 2023, he filed a case at the Human Rights Court accusing the OSP of unlawfully securing the arrest warrant. The OSP, however, denied the existence of any such arrest warrant and argued that it did not require judicial authorization to arrest Bisu. The Kaneshie District Court, which Bisu claimed had issued the alleged warrant, also denied ever granting such an order. This position was supported by the Attorney General, who represented the District Court. The Attorney General here refers to Dominica Ayini's outfit. Despite this, Bisu's legal team cited a public interview granted by the Special Prosecutor on Joy FM's news file as evidence of the alleged warrant. They argued that the judge should listen to the interview audio before making a determination. However, the judge dismissed the case without reviewing the audio, which to his lawyer was contrary to an earlier indication that it would be conceded. Bisu subsequently filed a judicial review application at the Supreme Court, seeking to quash the High Court's decision and prohibit the presiding judge from continuing to hear the case. According to Bisu's lawyers who are in the studio today, the Supreme Court has now directed the High Court to determine whether the arrest warrant was lawfully obtained. In response to the Supreme Court's ruling, the Office of the Special Prosecutor has indicated that it will now expect to cross-examine Bisu's legal team in court. Speaking to City News after the proceedings, Bisu's lawyer, Nane Bafo, emphasized the significance of the case in setting a precedent on the legal authority of the OSP to issue arrest warrants. Meanwhile, in a related development, the criminal court is expected to consider a plea agreement tomorrow between the OSP and Thomas Andiowusu, the second accused in the case titled The Republic versus Charles Bisu and another. So, the OSP went to Supreme Court and he was told that the conversation that was the guy's name, Samuel Dako, Sami Dako, he talks quite a bit. Sami Dako talks quite a bit. I mean, I don't know how much seasoned lawyer he is, and when he talks, I don't know whether his constitutional law is sound or not, but that's up to him. And he talks quite a bit, and he talks a whole lot. I mean, he was a journalist. I'm not sure the extent of distinction he got in journalism, but he went to study law, and he talks a lot. So he's the one who has created a problem for Kissi Agyabin because he went on Joy FM to blab. And the blabbing has created a problem for Kissi Agyabin, who wanted to say that I didn't get any arrest warrant. And they said, but the guy was on Joy FM, said that there was an arrest warrant that was obtained. And then they played it and said, yes, you got an arrest warrant. The arrest warrant was not properly taken. The High Court should look at it. That's the kinds of things that the OSP does. But now we are moving straight into the OSP's big conversation. Do you have a video of him talking about Ofori Atta, and then we can move on? Now, this is the OSP here. This is Kisi Ajabe flying in this plane to go and interview President Mahama's brother abroad. He didn't even tell us that he was taking taxpayers' money to fly abroad to interview President Mahama's brother. Kisi Ajabe didn't tell us. He took taxpayers' money, your money, my money, 10 cedis, 5 cedis, 20 cedis, 6 cedis, the money that you pay at the toe. When the Abaye people go and beat them in Makola, the money they collect, they give it to Kisi Ajabe to buy air tickets and fly to go and interview President Mahama's brother. He came back and said, there's no problem with the Airbus. We are happy with that, no problem. President Mahama is clean. But if you were able to do this for somebody who didn't hold public office, for somebody who didn't know how much money we were going to get from him, you were able to fly abroad to, and he didn't go alone. He went to military, police, and all those things he does. He travels with Ghanaian police. See him in New York. You travel with him. I've been on the plane with him so many times. I've seen him in London. He said he won't shake my hand. I didn't mind him. You see him on the plane. You see plenty of soldiers around him. That's how he travels. So he takes your money, my money. He travels with himself, his security, blah, blah, blah. And they all travel. He goes with people who are not supposed to be staff of the OSP, who are staff of the OSP. But their time will come. Their time is coming. It will surely come. They are not staff of the OSP. They are on the OSP list. He travels with them. He pays taxpayers' money. He goes to interview President Mahama's brother. Well, how did I know? It is in his own report. It is in Kisi Ajabe's own report. It is there that he traveled to go and see President Mahama's brother. That is fine. No problem about it. But if you're able to go and fly to see, okay, he's here. The OSP interviewed former President Dramani Mahama on 5th January 2024 in Accra. On its own, OSP located and interviewed Samuel Adam Foster, Philip Sean Middlemiss, Leanne Sarah Davis, and Sarah Fennell outside Ghana in March 2024 in the presence of their counsel. You flew out, this is OSP's report, 5.18. You flew out to go and interview Samuel Adam Mahama. This is 8th August 2024, report of investigations into alleged bribery of Ghanaian officials by Airbus. Now, you are investigating bribery of Ghanaian officials by Airbus. You were able to travel to go and interview Samuel Adam Foster. I know him. Samuel, I've met him before. I met him in Accra here. And you were able to go and interview Samuel Adam Foster in London. Samuel Adam Foster, the allegation was that he has participated in some bribery. It's just an allegation. We don't know. You are here telling us that Ofori Atta has $58 million he sank in the cathedral hole that you are going to collect. So we at least, you've assured us that there's some $58 million to collect from Ken. Can't you take a small fraction of that money to go and interview in America so that you go with your processes? Criminal lawyers tell me today that if you have the documents, you don't need Ofori Atta. You can go to the court and begin his prosecution. And when you have finished his prosecution, you can get him. When they pronounced Sedina Tamaklo guilty, was she in Ghana? Was Sedina Tamaklo in Ghana? Look at Kisi Ajabe. Somebody was teaching criminal law. He was teaching criminal law. When you have a personal vendetta against people, you can expose yourself this way. It's terrible. That's not how the republic should be built. Sedina Tamaklo was pronounced guilty here in Accra. She was not here. She is still not here. I saw a picture from a post by Vomao today who was urging the Attorney General that before you do anything, bring Sedina Tamaklo back. I think it's a reasonable post, but it's up to them. Sedina Tamaklo was not in Ghana when she was pronounced guilty. You have been able to take plane to go and interview somebody. You cannot do the same for somebody that you have assured us that our 58 million is with him. I don't know. People who are close to Asante Hene have been telling me that whenever he meets Nana Akufo-Addo refers to him as a king of kings. So when I saw the video today, and when Nana Akufo-Addo was meeting the Asante Hene at the front door of his home in Nima, and he says, King of Kings. I said, oh, wow, so that's true. Because I've heard people who are close to Asante Hene say that Akufo-Addo always addresses him as King of Kings. I love the camaraderie between the two men, and it looked very, very genuine. It looked very, very nice. Here are some of the photographs. I'll show you the video of Otumfuo telling the story many years ago. And I hope that some of us who are now working, when we grow up, will be able to tell the story of such sustained friendship. Asante Hene told the story of how himself and Akufo-Addo had gone to buy two Mercedes cars, one for Akufo-Addo's mother and one for Akufo-Addo himself. And Akufo-Addo asked him, Asante Hene. At that time, he wasn't Asante Hene, he was Bema Kwekudua. And they came to the same house that he visited today to hand over the car to Nana Akufo-Addo's mother, late mother, Adeline Akufo-Addo, the former first lady. So here's one of the photographs. Let me see whether I can identify the people here. I believe I see Otu Osiribo. I believe I see Kofi Bedu. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, allow me to say something about this man, Kofi Bedu. This is Kofi Bedu here. And he's been one of the most important journalists of all time. He was a journalist in the independence era, and he ran through journalism. He did sports journalism. He did everything. He became the managing director of the Graphic Corporation for many, 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 many years. He had excellent relations with Victor Owusu and all the forebears of the New Patriotic Party, the UP party. Kofi Bedu was an Nkrumahist, but he was very close friends with the UP people. Today, after retiring, Kofi Bedu is probably pushing 90 years old. After retiring, he serves the Asante Hene in the communication space. Kofi Bedu was the managing director of the Daily Graphic for many, many years. I've never had occasion to pay tribute to such a distinguished journalist, and I'm delighted that I have the occasion to do so now. That is Kofi Bedu. Ladies and gentlemen, whenever you see him in Kumasi, pay him a salute and tell him that I said that we salute him forever and ever. Kofi Bedu is truly distinguished as a journalist. Many people don't know him. He's not one who looks for the limelight, but he's very, very effective. He's the managing director of the Graphic for about 20 years after being a senior most editor. And he doesn't like the limelight, so you would never hear of him. But that's Kofi Bedu. Very, very important person. Otuosire Boadu Jabi Hene, former chairman of the Council of State. You see him over there. This is Nana Sa Hene, who is like the secretary to the Asante Hene. Of course, this is Asante Hene. I'd like to say something also about this man here. The man in the shirt. He's called Mr. Ebeleduse. Ebeleduse is one of the longest standing friends of Akufo-Addo. He's been Akufo-Addo's friend forever, from the 1960s up till now. And I once saw him, I believe it was in 2018, the birthday party in Esla Usu's house. And so I engaged him and I asked him that, why doesn't he? So I sort of introduced myself. So, but I know you. And he started telling me stories about how he saw me in Akufo-Addo's house in East Legon. And I said, I know you. I know you were at Joy FM at that time. I know you. And I said, okay. And Claybell, why didn't you take up any position in Akufo-Addo's government? They said, oh, me? Me, I'm not a politician. That kind of thing. He's a very, very nice man. He's a very loyal friend of Nana Akufo-Addo. Ebeleduse. There he is. I think Ebeleduse is also pushing 90, I believe so. I think he's a bit older than Akufo-Addo, but that's one of the oldest friends of Akufo-Addo, Ebeleduse. He also was in the house when the Asante Hene went in. Of course, Nite Kotego, my good friend, I'm fighting with him, so I'm not going to say much about him. Every day we are fighting. Nite Kotego, and of course, the venerable First Lady, former First Lady, Rebecca Akufo-Addo was also there. This was such an impressive visit that Asante Hene visited his friend, one of his best friends. Here is Akufo-Addo introducing Frema Opare, the former chief of staff to Nana Asante Hene. Captain Koda is another person that I have to speak about here. Captain Koda also is one of the oldest friends of Akufo-Addo. Captain Koda, together with Sami Michel and others, and the other guy, Lieutenant, I remember the name. But Captain Koda was one of the principal architects of the June 4th revolution. The story was told in Burma camp that when Captain Koda drove the Pinsgoa, there's something called Pinsgoa, it's a military vehicle. When he drove the Pinsgoa through Congo Junction on the morning of June 4th, all the people in 5BN knew that the coup had succeeded. Yes, Captain Koda. He happened to fall out with Flight Lieutenant Rawlings later on. He went into exile, and in fact, whilst he was in Ghana, they tried to prosecute him under the June 4th, and Akufo-Addo was always his lawyer since 1979. Captain Koda has been by the side of Akufo-Addo up till today. When you go around Akufo-Addo, you see a lot of that. You see a lot of people who have been loyal to him, who've been around him for long, very, very, very long. I mean, some of his bodyguards, they've been with him since 82. I mean, it's amazing. You see that with Akufo-Addo quite a lot. I think I've said that before. You see people who have been there for so long, and they are still there. It's a testament to the former president's loyalty to his friends and his people. You can always get that with Akufo-Addo. Captain Koda, good evening to you, and thank you very much. That's the Asante Hene, the unmistakable figure of Nana Asante Hene sitting in there with Akufo-Addo. Akufo-Addo, people say these days that he doesn't wear his glasses. I don't know whether he's gone for contact lenses. I'll be going to visit him one of these days, and I'll be asking him that, why is he taking off his glasses? And if he gives me the answer and he wants me to share with you, I'll come and share with you. More of the photograph. Albert Kandapa, the venerable Minister for National Security, was also there in the presence. One of the greatest friends of Akufo-Addo as well, Albert Kandapa. Who else is in the picture? Okay, the introduction. This is Dominic Nitiwul, the former Minister for Defense, who is still in Parliament, Member of Parliament for Bimbilla, one of also the loyalists of Akufo-Addo, Dominic Nitiwul. Many will remember the speech Akufo-Addo gave when he was making him minister about how the two of them bonded so much in Parliament. Dominic Nitiwul has remained on the side of Akufo-Addo. And then there you go. I see Gabi Ochedaku in the photograph as well. I saw Abdullah Zinapo earlier, but I don't have a photo of him now. That's Akufo-Addo addressing them. I'll be showing the video where he's talking so you see it. But this was an impressive visit. Oh yeah, this is a photograph I'm looking for. So these are the suspects. The usual suspects. From left to right to left. Samuel Abdullah Ejinapo, former Minister for Lands and former Deputy Chief of Staff. Asensu Boache, Abdullah Ejinapo is Member of Parliament for Damongo. Asensu Boache is Member of Parliament for Bantama. And then Dominic Nitiwo Bembela and the ultimate Alexander Fenyomake, Member of Parliament for Winneba. Albert Kandapa, former Member of Parliament for Ifija. These are the suspects that Akufo-Addo loyalists. Abdullah Ejinapo has not changed his facial expression. He likes to make this facial expression. And that's, all of them were there. And who is this? It's a Fenyomake making obeisance to the Asante Hene. This must have been a very, very good event. Very, very glorious event as well. As Alexander Fenyomake with Asante Hene again. There's Asante Hene making a point to the group. Are there any more faces that I can identify that I've not spoken about? Ebeledu says in your photograph over here. I think this is Nana Ajiman Prempeh, but we all know him as Ashimotin, who lost his mother not too long ago. Ashimotin Demirifadue, as I will say to him these days, he's now Nana Ajiman Prempeh. He's the Millennium Excellence Awards founder, and he still works with the awards that recently delivered this awards event. Here is the same group of people, but with Fawaz, who was also the Deputy Chief of Staff, and now Fremont Pare as well. This is the Akufo-Addo squad. Oh, I love this photograph. All the Ahimfo, together with Nana Asante Hene and the Akufo-Addo people, got a great photograph at the president's home in Nima, where Akufo-Addo has retired to, the home that he had lived since the 1970s with his father, and he's retired there. Akufo-Addo must feel very good. I mean, to stay in the house at 82, in a house where you have lived since you were 20-something, and at 82, you are still staying in the same house, I think it's a blessing. It's amazing. Many years ago, I had a conversation with, what's his name? My friend, the perennial presidential candidate, Mahama Ayariga. No, is it Mahama Ayariga? Not the one, the majority leader. Hassan Ayariga. And Hassan Ayariga was arguing with me over Akufo-Addo issues. Of course, everyone was arguing with me those days. He said, Paul, but your man, why? I said, what has he done? He said, but old man like that, he's 70 and he's staying in his father's house. Is that the kind of person you want to vote for him as president? I said, what do you mean? He said, it's Nima, is that not his father's house? When we were children, his father was staying there. He's still staying there. I had such a huge, big laugh. And when I told Akufo-Addo, he laughed more than I laughed. I went to him, I said, C1, as we used to call him those. I said, C1, Hassan Ayariga says that you are not a useful person because you are still staying in your father's house. He burst out laughing. He said, where did you find him? I said, I had a conversation with him. And that's Akufo-Addo. Nothing makes him angry. and so there you go. That's in the same house at Nima. And this is, I believe that they are seeing of the Asante Hene, Nanasa Hene. Nanasa Hene, good evening to you. You have served the Asante Hene tremendously, and your reward will definitely be in heaven. Who else is here? Okay, now let's go to the video where Otumfo was talking about how well he knows this house that he has visited before. Let's see the video. Let's see Asante Hene speaking.
Driver no when I'm say ekwan da ho has it adenta ene no ekoto bench bi no mama de no kase tuntu na ono to ketwa de kanene friend barakuda na kase e de bi see han baby here one e pack de mama de na so fire de ko is can to that ena e wo wanti if you let me remember my name, say this thing. My cut glasses in there, you know, two who cap on here. Oh, my bad, meaning fear had it.
Asante Hene was saying, if it wasn't audible enough for you to hear, Asante Hene was saying that he told his driver where to park because he knows the architecture of the house so well. He said that many years ago, Akufo-Addo's mother died around 2006 or 7. And he said many years before that, himself and Akufo-Addo went out to town. Akufo-Addo said, accompany me, I want to give you a gift to my mother. I mean, that's a blessing. We should all look forward to that. Sometimes when I see these young men who are insulting people on social media, I wonder why they don't want to bless the people so that the blessing can come to them. Who doesn't want to have that blessing? You have the occasion to go to town, go to a car showroom and buy a Mercedes car for your mother. You don't want this blessing. You tell he's short, he's this, he's that. I think young people should understand that blessing attracts. And so they should be careful about these things. When I heard this story, I said, wow, I wish I had that experience to be able to go to a car showroom with my friend. I said, come, I'm going to buy a car for my mother. Asante is telling the story of how he went out to buy a car from Mercedes-Benz showroom, 2 vehicles bought at the same time. Akufo-Addo was not in politics at the time. He was not minister of nothing. J.J. Rawlings was president, I'm sure. Maybe Achampong was president. It was way back. And he and Asante, who was not then Asante, he went out and they bought 2 vehicles. He bought a Mercedes Barracuda, what today we call the S-Class, and said, that is for my mother. And he bought a small, that's for myself. And Asante came that they brought the cars in, and then they parked in the same place that he parked his cars today. What a glorious story that we should all think and hope that we can be able to tell this story. If we cannot tell this story, our children should be able to tell the story. That's the essence of an aspirational society, not a society that pulls everybody down and insults everybody who is doing something significant. But that's the story that Asante Hine was telling today. That's how far his relationship goes with Akufo-Addo. Let's see Akufo-Addo's response.
Tinapa only Tina Yiku MPPH, Yene if we titia besine. Equi Asante Niwa, Equunus also Indio, either in the Crewum, Sanity. Na Pessementana, Pansuta Santimas, Papa, Itinapa only Tina MPPH, if we titia besine. Yaka Susu, my political career. Samaya asantima intimetianka na kwai amaba fuka na kuna kesi isime falo so tamuni na ase
That's Akufo-Addo speaking. I'd like to show you the video of the King of Kings because it had a big impact on me this afternoon when I was watching it. As I told you, many people who are close to Asante have told me that Otumfuo said to them that Akufo-Addo always addresses him as King of Kings. Have a look at this video. Should I? Yeah, that's the arrival of the Asante Hine at Akufo-Addo's house today. I'll pause when he's getting close to see him. Opemso gets down from the car. He's welcomed by what looks like Captain Koda. Yes. It's Captain Koda welcoming him. He's making his way up the stairs and into the living area. There you go. That's Otumfuo's Chiame, who is leading in the Otumfuo's linguist. Here.
Monsieur President, you're welcome. How do you mean? Monsieur President,
I want to commend highly the minority in Parliament. They are doing a fantastic work. But for their oversight, a yarn was going to pull through their eyes. We wouldn't have seen today that the so-called petrol levy, we now call it P levy or
D levy. Doomsaw levy.
Doomsaw levy. But in fact, Afenyo exposed them. They wanted to quickly move it through the House without a scintilla of information that was actually a tax that was going to be imposed. It was Afenyo that stood up and said, why don't you tell us that this is a levy that we are going to pay on every liter of fuel, 1 cedi?
But it sounds like it's not a lot of money. Until I've now seen posts about comparing Ofori Atta's 1 cedi on e-levy of 1 cedi on 100 cedis of e-levy. And the petrol thing is what, 12 cedis?
It's 12 cedis.
A liter.
And you are going to...
So if you buy 1 liter, you pay 13 cedis?
You pay 13 cedis.
Okay.
Paul, and the interesting thing is that, today, petrol seems to be down because of the dollar.
Yes.
The strength of the dollar having been weakened. But when it goes up, that is when we are going to feel it.
It may not go up. President Mahama says it will range between 10 and 12.
In the year 2013 or 2014 thereabouts, then Finance Minister said, Tekwe, introduce the special petroleum levy, 17.5%. They told us it wasn't too much. But anytime fuel prices went up, that is when we felt it. Without the 17.5%, I'm sure would have paid less. And it's the same thing. as soon as the petrol prices start going up, we'll feel it. And we know that.
So if you buy 1 gallon, which is what? Which is how many liters?
I think is it 10?
No, it's not 10. It's less than 10.
It's less than.
Yeah. It's about 5.
It's about 5. Yes.
Yeah.
So you are going to pay 5 cedis on 1
gallon.
On 1 gallon, and so if you happen to buy more, can you imagine how much you are paying on every gallon? The impact is wider.
Is the impact going to transfer by drivers onto the people?
Of course, it's going to be transferred by drivers onto people, and it's wider.
But is it true that Ofori Atta was charging 1 cedi on 100 cedis?
I think it was even less. It was supposed to be 1% or so.
Yeah, 1%. So 100 is 1. Yes, 1%.
Yes, and that they said was too harsh. Worst of it, the e-levy, it was not rushed through Parliament in the manner which it is happening today. The bill was only introduced in Parliament today under a certificate of urgency. And as we speak, my colleagues are still there, having to watch the bill go through the motions.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
They're doing first reading, second reading, third reading all now.
Everything today.
At 10:20, Parliament is sitting.
The very people that accused and lambasted the Akufo-Addo government for wanting to pass the e-levy, even though the e-levy, there was a lot of stakeholder engagement and so on and so forth. This one, there's even no stakeholder engagement.
GPRC have not been told?
There's no stakeholder engagement. No stakeholder engagement is being done. And this has been done so cleverly, if you observed. The budget came to Parliament not long ago.
Without it.
Subsequently, they have brought it. Nothing stops them. But they know that if they had brought it to Parliament together with the budget, there would have been a lot of rancor. So deliberately, you see how they've paced it. Unfortunately, but they are being exposed.
Well, but it will be passed. They have the majority, they have numbers. Yes. It will be passed.
Yes. But, our colleagues in Parliament are doing a fantastic work. The leadership, I commend them. The senior members on our side, motivating all of us from day to day, sharing ideas, giving us tidbits as to how to approach things. So I want to use this opportunity to commend them highly. They are doing a fantastic work. Our numbers haven't proven to be a weakness. So I commend them.
I see. What happened at the Supreme Court this morning? Were you there in person?
So,
or your team was
my partner went to argue it. So it's basically this: 2023, if you recall, there was news out. There was news all over the place that the special prosecutor had obtained an arrest warrant for Charles Bisu. I remember Joy News calling me, Evans Mensah calling to interview me on it, and I was surprised because we had been engaging the OSP, through letters that they should give us a little time. Charles Bisu was going to appear at the OSP because there was a domestic emergency, for which reason the time proposed or the date proposed could not be responded to. And so we needed a little time. The OSP said no. The next thing, there was news outbreak all over the place. There were interviews by some persons at the OSP confirming that indeed an arrest warrant had been obtained. Subsequently, we went to court to obtain an injunction saying that it was unlawful even if it exists. Because obviously, if someone obtains an arrest warrant, it's difficult to know which court he obtained it from. But luckily for us, through the news outbreak, we had gotten to know, and then the interviews, that indeed there was some arrest warrant. The OSP followed that with a publication on its news website, like he had done for Ofori Atta, that Charles Bisu had been declared wanted. Following the grant of the injunction, to our surprise, the OSP comes to court and say that there is no arrest warrant. So then it had missed.
What injunction was granted?
An interim injunction to restrain the OSP from enforcing the arrest warrant.
It was granted by a high court.
It was granted by a high court because we produced evidence of media interactions by the OSP confirming the existence of the arrest warrant. The allies of the OSP in the media had run with it on news networks that it existed. In fact, some people even accused me for sounding disrespectful to the court because they thought I had said Charles Bisu will not respond to the arrest warrant by going to the OSP. When, in fact, all I was saying was that if you have obtain an arrest warrant, then enforce it. It's not for him to come to the OSP. My brother, subsequently the OSP comes to court to say no arrest warrant exists. So if no arrest warrant existed, as a public office, you cannot deceive the public like that. If it didn't exist, how did the news, right, got carried throughout Ghana that there was an arrest warrant? In fact, even if it was not true, what did you do at the time to let people know that it didn't exist? Strangely, the special prosecutor himself appeared on Newsfile, where the host suggested to him that I even hear that there is an arrest warrant. He didn't deny it. Clearly, therefore, there was, people had been made to believe, because you know that you cannot, words of people who hold public office, they cannot be taken for granted. Their actions are very important. And it is it is on that basis that people repose confidence in them. And so when you have made everybody to believe, and now you are saying there's no arrest warrant, the burden was then on us to prove the existence of the warrant. So we put together all the evidence in the public domain, where the OSP, by its conduct, had made the whole of Ghana believe that there was an arrest warrant. At the court said, this is the direction in which I was going to determine this matter. One of it was going to view the video evidence where the OSP and various media houses and elements within the OSP had made the people of Ghana believe that there was an arrest warrant. We had, following that, gone to make payment for the video evidence to be viewed at the court video conference facility. Subsequent to this, a new judge comes. When the judge came, I raised a preliminary issue. The OSP, because I was the deponent to the affidavits, the OSP wanted me cross-examined. I didn't have a problem. But I said, if you are denying that there is no arrest warrant, and in the light of that, we have a gamut of evidence before this court, then the cross-examination may not be necessary. Let the court go and view, and we make our submissions, because the basis on which we had come to this conclusion is already before the court. The judge then adjourned to rule on that preliminary point. Subsequent to it, there were several adjournments, about 3-4 adjournments. My junior in chambers goes to court, and then the judge says, there's no need to even hear submissions from counsels. He has dismissed our suit.
He didn't look at the video?
He didn't look at the video.
Was it admitted in evidence, though?
It was attached to our affidavit, so it was in evidence. And so the court had said it was going to view it to determine one, admissibility, and subsequently the relevance and the weight that it places.
So it hadn't yet been admitted?
It hadn't yet been.
The High Court judge should have that authority to say that, I will not look at it.
But the court itself had set out how it was going to deal with the matter. And so there was a procedural injunction on the court to deal with it in the manner which he had made all of us believe that he was going to deal with it.
Yeah.
Then what happens? The judge says he has dismissed it. Then we said, don't worry. We climbed up to the Supreme Court and said, 1, there was an error apparent on the face of the record. 2, by setting out the manner in which he was going to deal with the matter, right, he could only deal with it in the same manner unless he had varied it. Otherwise, he doesn't have jurisdiction to proceed.
What did the Supreme Court say?
The Supreme Court agreed with us.
How many judges?
5 judges.
5-0?
4-1. Justice Bafuboni presided, and he was the one who dissented. And so...
Wow, that's interesting.
Yes.
The acting Chief Justice?
Yes.
He dissented?
He dissented.
Who were the other 4 judges?
Justice Darko, Asari Darko. Justice Professor Henrietta Mensah Bonsu. I think Justice Kofi and Gau or the other one. I've forgotten.
Okay.
But so they said no, having led us to believe that this is the manner in which he was going to hear the matter. And on the basis of it, we're going to pay money for the purposes of viewing of the video. Right? He erred. He didn't have jurisdiction to proceed. So the court has quashed the ruling and has prohibited the judge from hearing the matter. So the case will go before a different judge.
Nominated by Justice Bafuboni.
Yes. Will be nominated by Justice Bafuboni. But it's a human rights matter. There are only 2 human rights courts. So if it doesn't go to Human Rights Court 2, it goes to Human Rights Court 1. So now it's likely to go to Human Rights Court 1 because Human Rights Court 2 was the one that was hearing the matter. Yes. But Paul, this case is very important because one of the key weapons of the OSP has been the arrest warrant. And some of us have said the manner in which he handles it is unlawful. He thinks that without securing a warrant of arrest from the court, it can issue wanted list on its website and publish it all over Ghana on Facebook and other social media networks. The court is being invited to make a determination, right, of the circumstance under which such warrants may be issued by the OSP, because Act 30 makes it clear the circumstance under which it may be issued. And so the court is being invited to make a pronouncement on it. Once the court makes a pronouncement on it, it will settle a lot of matters. If that pronouncement had already been made, for instance, by the Human Rights Court, and not looked at the matter narrowly, right, in terms of determining just one relief and leaving the rest, perhaps the OSP will not be issuing arrest warrant in the manner which he had done in the Ofori Atta matter.
Lawyer, the OSP called us to a press conference yesterday because yesterday was the 2nd of June. In his conversations with us about Ofori Atta, he said he wants him to appear on the 2nd of June. And he said that the Ofori Atta's lawyers were shifting the goalpost and they have said that he's unwell. Later on, we have seen publications from the hospital indicating that truly Mr. Ofori Atta may not be well. But he says he's put him on the wanted list, that is a fugitive from justice. Information from the OSP's own documents suggests that he has ever traveled abroad to interview other people who may not have carried as high-profile potential offense as Ofori Atta, because he's told us that he can retrieve more than $58 million from Ofori Atta. Now, the conversation is the OSP really taking us for a ride? Is he serious? Is he carrying a personal vendetta? How much money has Parliament approved for him since he became OSP? How much retrieval of resources has he done for the Ghanaian taxpayer? The question looks like is lopsided against him. You're a lawyer. You've been in Parliament and studying his document. What do you make of that?
Paul, a gentleman called Aaron Esidu, who praised the Law Lab, says I should tell you that the report on the OSP, he did it. And so I should tell you that the Law Lab did it.
Which report?
The one...
Oh, the isolating that
right.
He said he flew. The Law Lab. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Law Lab. Okay. So there's Law Platform and there's Law Lab.
Law Lab.
I love the Law Platform. Yes, I see it. I read it. It's beautiful.
I mean, they should all be encouraged.
Oh, I see.
The Law Platform is such a fantastic...
It's such a real good addition.
He's a great guy. Paul, I'm on the side of the OSP.
Really?
Yes, I'm on the side of the OSP. Anyone who fights corruption, I'm on the side. The difference, you know that the difference between your gross salary and your net salary goes to the public officer.
Yes.
And so if it is embezzled, we should all be worried.
Yes.
And so if somebody is watching over it, we should all encourage the person. In the same token, if the person is not handling it in the best manner, we should draw his attention. And so I'm on the side of the OSP. I can appreciate why the OSP did the press conference yesterday, because the last press conference on Ofori Atta was in February. And so people were asking what's happening in the Ken matter, because if you remember, there had been correspondence between Ken's lawyer and the OSP, for which reason there had been some commitment that he was going to be in town by June. And so the general public were expectant. And so you can imagine the pressure on the OSP. The fundamental question is, when you're under pressure in the circumstance, what is the best approach? I think that the OSP's approach is what should be condemned.
His approach of doing a press conference?
His approach.
But the general public needed to know?
Sure. And so I'm going to show you why. Firstly, as lawyers, we don't put details of a person's health in the public domain in the manner which the OSP did in yesterday's press conference.
What did he say?
That he's suffering from cancer and so on and so forth.
He said that's what he's been told.
But you shouldn't even put it out. It's unethical.
Oh, okay, I get that.
It's unethical. You know, very respectful, I've never done this in England. There's a whole class on ethics If you fail, you failed. If you fail ethics,
you can't be called to the bar.
You can't be called to the bar. And so these things are very, very important to a practitioner, a barrister, or a lawyer for that matter. You cannot put details of a person's health in the manner which the OSP did. It was enough to say that Ken's lawyers say he's still unwell.
That's okay.
Or he's supposed to even undergo a certain procedure. It's okay. But to go to the extent of giving those, if you like, descriptive details of what condition that he's going through and so on and so forth, I think was not proper. And so going forward, I think we should take a cue from it. Such details should not be put out. Again, I'm on the side of the OSP. And so we are looking for the best way for the OSP to work in the circumstance. If the OSP is that desperate to prosecute Ken Ofori Atta or speak to Ken Ofori Atta, there is a precedent. The precedent is contained in his report, in the Airbus scandal report, the investigations he did, that report, page 14, paragraph 3 of page 14, which you just highlighted there. The precedent shows that when it is difficult for the OSP to have a person of interest or a suspect engaged in the Republic of Ghana, the OSP travels out to engage the person outside of Ghana. At the time the OSP engaged President Mohammed's brother outside of Ghana, the budget allocated to him was 149 million cedis. This time, he has the same budget, so he's not financially constrained. He can do the same for Ken Ofori Atta, right? So that the people of Ghana can know what is going on. In fact, in the case of Samuel Mahama, you rightly pointed out, okay, what was involved wasn't as grievous.
It's a mere testimony, almost like a witness.
In Ken's case, potentially, if the OSP succeeds, we are likely to make money from it as a nation. And so, in terms of priority, Ken's own should be more of a priority to the OSP. And so if you ask me, between Ken's case and Samuel Mohammed's case, which one should the OSP spend public money, taxpayers' money, to go and interview the person involved? I would say Ken's case, right? And so in terms of approach, holding press conference and putting out and sounding desperate to the public, for me, was a no-no, because you have something that you have done before and gotten results, which you can easily apply in this case. The third point is that if the OSP, and at this point I've made a time without number, if the OSP is hoping to interview Ken Ofori Atta before determining whether or not there's a prima facie case.
So this is the second leg of the argument. So the first leg, and producer, I'm just saying it for you, this is the first leg of the argument is the traveling. The second leg is the criminal procedure. Let's look at it like that.
That's right. If Ken is hoping to speak to Ken okay, before I go to the second leg, let me address some other tangential issues. The other bit is this. What should be the content of the OSP's update? We need to look at it. It needs to be balanced with the person's human rights. And increasingly, I'm coming to the conclusion that he needs to take a critical look at his content during press conference. Why do I say so? Historically, we have seen very detailed content coming from the OSP. Subsequent to that, we realized that the cases came to nothing. We all heard La Bianca. From the
She died.
Yes, she died, very sadly. From the OSP's press conference, La Bianca was a convict, quote and unquote. The evidence was slam dunk. Eventually, La Bianca was not even taken to court. We know what that did to somebody like Kenel Damois.
Yes, the Honorable Member of Parliament.
Yes, you know what that did to somebody like Kenel Damois. Okay. After that came Cecilia Adapa. 1 year, she was tried in the media. made by everybody to believe that she had been involved in one corruption offense or the other. The effect of the Cecilia Dapa on the MPP's fortunes in election 2024 cannot be overemphasized. Paul, cannot be overemphasized. We all saw everybody saying that MPP, we are thieves, we are criminals, we are stashing money under beds and so on and so forth. The OSP milked it with cameras going to Cecilia Dapa's house, right? Oh, what happened? Eventually, the OSP said to us that after studying the case, it is not within his mandate to prosecute.
But is mandate not the first thing you check?
Exactly. Oh, so when you go, for instance,
I'm asking as a question. I'm innocent. I mean, if you're a prosecutor, for instance, we were taught in law school, Kwame Tete, civil procedure, that the first thing you check is the parties. Next is the forum. So if you're a prosecutor, the first thing is your mandate.
Okay.
Do you have a mandate to prosecute this?
Exactly.
That's the first thing. You don't finish the process and come and tell us I don't have a mandate. That's awkward.
That is why when you walk to a police station, and say to the policeman, police, me pacho, Urapo Adom Otchere, wajimi sika, obamasum, debi wajimi sika. There and then the police officer will tell you that this is civil, it is not criminal.
Yes.
At that point, the police officer will not go chasing people and so on and so forth.
Or if you tell him wabomasum, where? Adabraka and Adabraka police station. If you are standing in Rosu.
Exactly.
That's what he will tell you. The jurisdiction, the mandate.
Exactly.
That's the first thing you do. And a lawyer, you finish the work and come and tell us you didn't have a mandate.
You didn't have the mandate. When you look at the facts in the Cecilia Dapa matter, right? On the face of it, it's not even within the remit of Yoko. On the face of it, without more, I'll say that I'm forwarding it to the FIC, Financial Intelligence Center, because they deal with things like money laundering. And so if somebody has got lots of money like that, potentially it is money laundering. Potentially.
Once you talk of financial center, I think we have to say there's a very good man there. It's called Kojochumbuaf.
Yes, he's my friend.
He's a very good man.
He's my friend.
He suffered a lot under the NPP administration, and people have told me that the way Kojochumbuaf suffered and the way he's dealing with his job professionally, he'll go to heaven because he has opportunity to cut people's heads off. The guy was in Iyoko for 8 years. He spent his birthday in Iyoko. The only NPP guy who was with him was Wagus. Wagus Osebunsu.
Yes.
Everybody abandoned him. Today he's back at FIC. He's doing a good job.
Today on the floor of Parliament, I supported a statement by the minority leader on the gains of our democracy and the need to end the retribution.
Chumbuafo is an example of that.
I said that in 2001, President Kufuor, people were asking him to pursue people in the manner which they had done during the era of the PNDC FRC era, right? But President Kufuor said, no, let's do national reconciliation and end retribution. It gets to a point where, as a leader, you should take that high moral standards. Right?
Mandela did it.
And
but they will say that you are saying that because you're in opposition, you're afraid. And when you're in government, you didn't say that.
I am not afraid. I've been a private practitioner all my life. I'm not afraid. But I am looking at building a society that is coherent, a society that is more focused, a society where leaders are interested in making sure we are getting quality schools, quality healthcare, human rights are being protected.
Okay, producer is telling me we are digressing. Let's get back onto the matter.
So, Paul, now,
so you talked about the mandate on the Cecilia Dapa matter. So they are coming to the second leg of the
yes. So in the light of that, when Cecilia Dapa was disgraced and it came to nothing, when Colonel Damwa was disgraced and it came to nothing, when La Bianca disgraced to the point and died from it, if I'm the OSP, I'll begin to evaluate the content of my press conference.
Absolutely.
And look at whether it is balanced to the extent that if tomorrow, if I am not proceeding against the person anymore, that person will not walk with a dent around him. And for me, that is the content. Now let's go to procedure.
Yeah, the second leg.
If the office of the special prosecutor needs Ofori Atta in Ghana, before it can undertake can initiate proceedings against them, establish a prima facie case and proceed to charge him and commence criminal proceedings, then what it has now is weak.
You mean if he needs to see Ken before
If
he can
you
go?
need to see Ken, because Ken has a right not to talk when he appears before the OSP.
Oh, he does?
He has a right.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Oh, he can come and say, I won't tell you anything.
I won't tell you anything. The worst you can do
Prosecute me, I'll come to
the
court.
worst you can do is to keep him for 48 hours.
After that, you have to let him go.
After that, you can.
And he will meet you in court.
And he will meet you in court.
In court, Ken cannot say, I won't say.
No.
If he does, they will.
Even in court, he can choose not to testify by himself.
I see.
Yes. In court, when the prosecution is done with his case, Ken can say, I'm filing an application for no case to answer.
Yeah.
On the strength of your evidence.
Atufosin did not testify. You are right about
Yes.
it. I covered Atufo. Atufosin did not testify by himself.
Yes.
He elected not to.
Yes. And so on that score, if the OSP desperately needs Ken to be able to prosecute his case, then fundamentally the OSP needs to check his case. It's weak.
That's an interesting point. I'm not sure whether people are getting it. You are saying that OSP says, I need Ken, I need Ken, I need Ken. Ken can come and say, my lord, I have nothing to tell you.
Yes. Mr. OSP, I choose.
I see.
Yes. Yes, you can say that.
And what will the effect of that be on the public, the press conference?
The effect of that will be to determine on the strength of the evidence you have minus Ken's statement whether there's a prima facie case against him. When you take it to court, the court will then determine whether it is safe to convict him on that evidence, whether you have proven beyond reasonable doubt. Now, if you fail, what happens to Ken? You would have dented his image in the public domain. Again, that is why the content of the press conference needs to be measured. You understand? That is why the content of the press conference needs to be measured. Okay. Now, my brother, let's look at the OSP. Let's look at the OSP. And this is just by the way. And I've shared some of the messages with you. Anytime I'm about to go to court with them, they use a UK burner number to send me threatening messages, making false allegations against me. And tomorrow I'm going to file a complaint against them with a cybercrime.
But how do you know that it is coming from them?
So, Paul, I've shared some of them with you.
I want to read it for general public to hear, the ones that you shared with. But before then, there are a lot of text messages coming from lawyers. One, they don't want me to mention their name, so it's cool. They are practicing barristers here in Ghana. They don't want me to mention their name, but this is it. It says the medical report part of the exhibit of the process filed on 27th of May at the Human Rights Court. This process was followed up with a letter from Ofori Atta's lawyers on 28th of May to the OSP. How does he now play I am not aware? He received the letter on the 28th at least, but he chose not to respond and create the impression that he was not aware. The OSP may not trust Ken or the Mayo Clinic, but he cannot ignore evidence. A lot of it is coming. And then they forwarded to me the public notice. It's all pointing to a suggestion that the OSP may have been dishonest in the processes. Now, let me read to you, viewers, what the lawyer Bafor here sent to me. One of the texts is as follows. It says, I am sure, it's a bit gory. Let me see what I can do about it. It says, I am sure when your wives, it says plural, when your wives deny you sex at night, then you come pour your anger on us. Uhumfi wate. You speak like your face.
This was after I did an interview on Joy on the OSP matter this afternoon.
It says Uhumfi what Kisi Ajabe can do that. I don't believe that.
I'm not saying it's from Kisi. I'm saying it's coming from the OSP. You need to separate the OSP from the SP.
But even Samuel Dako, he won't do. I don't think.
Well,
anyway, let's see. It says Uhumfi wate. You speak like your face. Most useless and foolish talk coming from a lawyer. He never envisaged that a day will come when he will be declared a fugitive in Ghana. Kwaye Bretio Mutia. Hey, what's that? Kwaye Bretio Mutia. It's talking about somebody's height.
Yeah, he's insulting me.
I'm sure Nana B got your notes. That is why you are following his propaganda. You are given this week to shut your dogs and yourself Else that Ashawo wife of yours in the UK is never going to have peace. Your hypocrisy and double standards is galling. Kwasia boy. Hey! I mean, then another one says, Bafwe, are you tired of the radio tour to abolish the OSP? Oh, it says OSP here. So you know the motivation. There is a serious danger to humanity if creatures like you walk on this earth like they are the good guys. You are a monster and you know you are and is happy to live your monstrous life. Charge and bail lawyer. Oh, you can't say that of Bafo. Whoever wrote it, you should be ashamed of yourself. Bafo is a very distinguished lawyer. Everyone knows that. Charge and bail lawyer. You can't change a twisted evil mind. You can't change a twisted evil mind. You are a true definition of evil. Hopefully, the exposure deters everyone from hiring you. Imagine abandoning your morals and integrity only to end up third in line. Ofori. Third in line is what? Of what?
I don't know.
Your second wife in UK. Oh, that I can't say. Talking about a woman's private part, something I can't say.
But it shows that they know nothing about me because I have no second wife in the UK. They know nothing about me. Paul, anytime I'm about to go to court with them, I receive these messages. And today, after doing the interview on Joy, I received this message. I am not saying that it is coming from them, but if it quacks like a duck, walks like a duck, then it is certainly a duck. The circumstances are too, too close for me to wonder anymore. You understand?
Wow.
So Paul, this is...
So he said that on procedure, Kisi Agame does not need Ken Ofori Atta. He can proceed without him.
Yes. I'm saying that he doesn't need Ken Ofori Atta. He can proceed without him. Paul, there are questions I want to ask. What happened to the NLA Textat matter?
Who is NLA, National Lottery Authority?
Yes. You see?
So that's another file, producer. National Authority, they had a what?
NLA Textat procurement matter. Before Martin Amidu left office, he was investigating NLA and Textat procurement issues. Subsequently, when Martin left office, that matter was discontinued. That matter had a lawyer from the OSP's office as the lawyer for one of the parties. Is it the case that when Martin left and a new SP took over, they decided that they will not continue? Why have we not been updated on that matter? Why have we not been updated? Why have we not been updated on La Bianca? Why have we?
Tell us why we've not been updated on NLA. La Bianca is dead.
I don't know. I don't know, Paul. I don't know. I'm asking questions. I'm only asking questions.
Lucy and then
God demands it.
It's an obligation.
Yeah.
He shall update us. And the update in the law, you in your person harassing microphone. Now, we're boy.
That's a good point. He didn't update on the case that he lost against the MC in Kumasi. He didn't say anything about it. And I think the journalists forgot. It slipped out of their head. They should have asked him that question. Okay, let's hear you.
Oh, I'm a member of the Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee, which has oversight over constitutional bodies, including the OSP. And I raised issues concerning the OSP on the floor of Parliament. And there, colloquially I said, we think it needs to be reviewed. To wit, it was the MPP that introduced it. And I think it is time we take a second look at it. If you have 149 million cedis, what are you going to do with it? Set up an office which after 8 years is only prosecuting 4 cases? Is that what you want to do? As opposed to...
That money could have gone to the Attorney General.
It could have gone to the Attorney General. It could have gone to Yoko.
Yeah. CID, police CID.
It could have even gone to Shraj.
Yes, Shraj. Better still, Shraj.
Time tested.
I don't like the office of Shraj at all.
Because you've gone
I went there, it was terrible.
But you know that, if you recall, historically, the state institution that has exposed corruption.
It's Shraj.
It's Shraj.
A lot of it is covered in my book.
Yes.
Short, a lot of it.
And held political appointees, public office holders, account. Shraj. At the time when President Rawlings was President Rawlings, Shraj did investigations on appointees of President Rawlings.
Absolutely.
And made adverse findings against them.
PV Obey.
So if we are looking for an institution that would be independent and prosecute cases, I'd rather give Shraj the mandate to prosecute.
I think it's a personality thing. I mean, the people that have been at Shraj have been quite distinguished. Emil Short, Anna Bossman, Professor Kenatefa used to be there as deputy to Short. I think it's about the personality. Maybe if we got somebody else at the OSP, it might make a difference.
I wouldn't personalize it. I would want to look at efficiency and value for money. When you look at efficiency and value for money, I think it is more efficient to give what the OSP has, which Shraj doesn't have. I will give it to Shraj, right, which is the prosecutorial powers. I'll give it to Shraj so that Shraj now becomes complete. I don't need to set up a new office and give it budget.
So that you amend the Shraj law to include prosecution.
Exactly.
Give them more money, more staff.
Give them more money, more staff. So I wouldn't have to spend 149 million on a new office, which after 8 years is only prosecuting 4 cases.
And doing 10 press conferences.
And doing so many press conferences. I wouldn't do that. There's the risk, right? Given the enormity of powers of the OSP, right? There's the risk of abuse of power. There's the risk of exploitation. It is very risky. You don't want to create a duplicitous situation where somebody can take advantage of. And so I would rather vest powers in Shraj to do what the OSP can do, because one, Shraj has an institutional culture, proven track record, right? And then integrity. There's no dent when it comes to Shraj. And so I will do that. So it's about time we take a critical look. The other time, I heard arguments that we should be considering making the OSP a constitutional body. I said, Jesus Christ, we need to be very, very careful what we want as a country. We have got too many of these institutions. You have Shraj, you have Yoko, you have FIC, right?
CID police.
You have the CID police. You want to make what? Create a constitutional body for what? Prosecuting corruption?
Let me take the text messages, then we'll be getting ready to wrap up at this stage. Kobe, let's get some 5 messages from you. What are people saying?
So I'll begin with some positive messages for Lawyer Bafo. Master Planner Junior from Kintampo says, in fact, Lawyer Bafo is really doing a fantastic job. It's always a pleasure listening to Mr. Paul. We are so proud of you for being able to discover and introduce such a wonderful lecture for we the viewers. I have never regretted being a part of the social media campaign team from primaries to the main elections. Lawyer, you do all. Now from Z Haj Hamza, he says, I personally think this OSP office is a waste of our taxes. I don't understand what is keeping him from preferring charges against the former finance minister, if indeed he thinks he's a suspect, instead of wasting our time on these needless press conferences. Now, Moses Echampong says, whoever recommended Lawyer Kisia Jabeng for OSP post to be ashamed by now. It seems like the office he is running now is too heavy for him to run, hence the need for him to be fired immediately. Now, Awana Kubana says, whoever lobbied for Kisia Jabeng to be OSP has done a great disservice to the NPP party, especially knowing he is a lawyer for Anas, who has been fighting Ken for protecting the image of NPP government on those exposés then. Now, Eric Owusu says, regarding the taxes, I thought this doomsaw is the reason why 14% taxes was implemented on electricity. What is this one Ghana city seek to achieve again? Robbing Peter to pay Paul. How was ex-President Nanado able to maintain lights without having to increase electricity at the rate this current government has done? We will surely miss Nanado someday. Now finally, Robert Atoladongo says, the OSP fear you as a good lawyer, hence the insults and attacks. May you live long, Lawyer Bafo. Now back to you, Paul.
Wow. No, your final words. Let's get your conclusive remarks.
We need to, you see, it appears that we are always interested in wanting to see that somebody is a thief, somebody is a criminal. And so somebody thinks that he's feeding us with what we want. Hence, this whole charade of press conferences. It's important for us as a state to begin to trust each other. I think that trust should become the default setting until the otherwise is established. Once we do that, I think we'll do far better as a nation. And we are likely to see less of the corruption amongst us, because we seem to be too suspicious of each other. I think we should shun that. Once we do that, I think we'll be fine.
And build institutions.
And build institutions.